There are just 2 rounds to go in your SimGear GT Masters. All 3 championships still somewhat on the line as they sit and wait. They know that double points await on the horizon in a week's time. But here it is the baby Le Mans circuit. It is Petit Le Mans that we hit. Welcome to Road Atlanta and welcome to some truly fantastic piece of racetrack that you find in the United States. My name's Jake Sperry, bringing you all of the action here today of the SimGear GT Masters, and this an all-important 2025 challenge that says that with 2 rounds to go, there are still championships up in the air. As far as things go, there is one championship that we do expect to be settled here today, and that one is the Teams Championship, which at the moment, Negative Delta by simgear.bg are 168 points clear at the top of the standings. They are looking to try and build the margin that is so important to them, knowing that they've got to get to guarantee that championship here today. An absolute haul of points where other drivers may fall by the wayside. So they're looking to attack in comparison to Chris Vrajilov and Christian Novev today, the 2 at the top of the GT3 Pro Championship, Vladislav Shopov and Ventsislav Rajchanov. Championship in GT3 Pro did close last time out, down to 36 championship points, where Vladislav Shopov finds himself on top on 406 points, with Chris Vrajilov in third and Christian Novev fourth in that championship. It's a big gap back of 60 points to Gabriel Ivanov, and then a further 4 points back to Yulian Janovsky, with the likes of Nicholas Stanev and Miroslav Sotorov then a little further down on 145 and 110 points. Ivanov down on 109, and then Boyko Shopov on 77 and Yekov on 32. Out there, hasn't participated since the opening couple of rounds of the season. GT3 AM might be the most interesting championship. You've still got your top 5 drivers split by 15 championship points. So for Bozhidar Andreev, for Joris Ooms, Maxim Dimitrov, Ivo Serafimov, and Roy Viveka, they are all in the hunt to try and pick up results to move them up the order to give themselves the platform when Le Mans comes calling. And GT4 now looks more like a 2-horse championship. Don't be fooled by the fact that Rostislav Koshev is 9 points back in the championship picture. The issue is with Koshev is that we do believe that he is going to be missing, if his words are to be believed, he is going to be missing the final round over at the Circuit des 24 Heures du Mans, which will mean now that it's a straight-up dogfight between Martin Yankov and Nikolai Mikov to see who will be putting the points in. Orlin Malinov and Alex Stefanov are 2 drivers who are looking to try and battle. It's going to be very close for third in the championship between Malinov, Stefanov, Skelton, Nikolov Jr., and Dimitar Palauzov. All of them are in the mix, looking to try and make their names known. So that's how everything sits as we wait today at a circuit that has seen it all and has pretty much done it all in terms of a racing sphere here on Pitlane.TV, and we are live with all of this action as we focus on the Acura moving up through and abandoning to the club circuit there. Yulian Janovsky was just behind Alexander Nikolov, I believe, Jr. out there on track it was, so able to avoid most of the dramas there. But at a very foggy circuit, the fog is due to lift. Here we're currently in light fog conditions, and it should, in the next 15 minutes, transition over to more overcast conditions out there today. So I believe the pea soup that we find ourselves in at the moment is due to lift. Of course, we are in Georgia, America, which is the south of the United States of America, and often is an area of the country that does get very humid as we find ourselves in the middle of the day. Not often we see fog this late into the day, but a very tough condition that the drivers find themselves in, but not too out of the ordinary here for Road Atlanta. But a track that is rather much more of a bull ring than it is a wide open, expansive circuit. It's often compared to Road America as this chalk and cheese style drive, an opening sector that is very twisty as you go through the S's and back up again. And then you've got the two transfer corners of turns 6 and 7 up over at the far end of the circuit, the long kilometre straight which leads through 8 and 9, and to the greatest overtaking opportunities. We will take a look on the back of Ivaylo Dimitrov along with Ivo Serafimov, heading through now this right-hand corner of turn number 9 that leads over to turns 10A and 10B out there on circuit. Some very important place in track as the checkered flag does go in this practice session, which was topped off at the top of the timing stands by Christian Novev on a 1:18.5, so pace very much in the books then for Novev, looking to try and put a charge. Chris Razilov second, meaning that the team's championship may very well still be alive in some way, shape or form. But hello sunny skies as we get ourselves set and ready for racing action then, as qualifying looks to begin, a 35-minute qualifying session, which as per usual, if you've been following along with us here with the SimGear GT Masters, it is 11 minutes for the first two categories, and then a big 13-minute shootout for the pros to go and put their best time on the board. So better time as any to focus on that blue BMW up over the top of the crest at turn number 5 of Martin Yankov, being shadowed by Orlin Malinov and Alex Stefanov, who was desperately unlucky 1 week ago to find himself out of contention with technical issues there. The server disconnect that cost Alex Stefanov a victory, almost guaranteed victory against Nikolai Mikov, who really took advantage of a couple of the troubles that were out there on track. So a case again of drivers looking to just try and profiteer, but Martin Yankov, in terms of pure pace, has been the driver who has been looking to hold up the momentum through the first 2 rounds of the championship. Pace has been a little lacking over the last couple of rounds, but if it can be wrestled back, then Martin Yankov is that driver. We'll focus on this qualifying lap with Alex Stefanov here, who will give you a great understanding of what this circuit's all about. The lowest part of the circuit is around this area of track, heading towards turn number 1. It's a slight crest as you dip down into the corner, which brings you in. Very easy to understeer out wide off the exit of turn 1. Cresting up through turn 2, you've got to turn and brake at the same time for the very sharp 90-degree right of turn 3. Moving through turn 4, and these are not classified as corners, they're just classified as the S's. Down the hill on this whitewater rapid run, down and then back up the hill for turn number 5. Very tough on the exit to get drive up over the hill, and very easy if you catch the curb wrong to spin to the right or the left depending on how you catch it. On camber slightly as you go into turn number 6, and then off camber slightly as you attack out of turn number 7. Purple first sector for Alexander Nikolov Jr. and a purple second sector for Martin Yankov. So Yankov looks like he's got himself a really good chance of putting a great time down on the board. But out of 8 and towards turn number 9, you set up for this downhill braking zone of turns 10A and 10B. You brake on the downhill, which means you don't slow up initially, you slow up late, which means you've got to get alongside to make that move. Otherwise, you're going to be sailing straight on out of 10B, under the Fox Factory Bridge, and through the 2 consecutive right-hand kinks, which in these cars are practically flat out 11 and 12 to end the lap. A 26.2 from Alex Stefanov, but Orlin Malinov in the tow goes fastest in the Aston Martin by 1/10 and a half, very, very subtly picking that one up on the books as Alex Stefanov finds himself now in 4th position on circuit right now as far as qualifying goes. Valentin Stemenkov going into 5th position, still waiting for times from Nikolai Mikov and Dimitar Palauzov. Rosti Koshev on a 27.5, non-representative, I'd say, at 1.6 seconds back, and Palauzov there in the BMW at 3.9 seconds adrift then as far as first qualifying laps go. Short laps here, less than 90 seconds for the GT4 category. I'd expect to be under 75 seconds for the fastest in the GT3, so In terms of pace, I think we're going to be in for a very frantic run of quick qualifying laps that go in. And Road Atlanta, one of the few circuits in the world where most of the drivers should understand what makes this circuit tick, the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, because this is a circuit which forms one of the group of the likes of Spa-Francorchamps and Road America and the likes of Monza and those sorts of tracks, and Spa that go into that big mix of circuits which everyone requests, that everybody can drive, and quite often everybody knows like the back of their hand. Effectively, you would call the all important circuits that build up the base of most series out there on iRacing, because most people can drive it. Martin Yankov improving now and is almost a quarter of a second clear of Orlin Malinov on a 25.594, and that's wonderfully done. Koshev then over the line improves, but still 9/10 of a second adrift on a 126.5, still behind Valentin Stemenkov, and maybe not gelling in the AMG Mercedes there, the GT4 AMG Mercedes, compared to some other drivers out there. Worth noting that there is no Robin Skelton here today, which is going to be important to note because he would have had a qualifying ban to serve out there here today. And it is also worth noting that Milan Milchev still has to serve the qualifying ban from 2 rounds ago. Obviously not here last round was Milan Milchev, so still has to have his qualifying ban served. It'll be interesting to see whether he does qualify the car or not, whether that has been remembered. Alexander Nikolov Jr., though, fastest in the 3rd sector and heading to sector number 4 and over towards the line. This could be an all-important improvement, but it will not be enough to go and make that lap time known. That was more of a set-up lap to now get the tyres back into an operating window and to go and attack later on in this session. 38 degrees, the track temperature finds itself at this point in time. And because it is these hot conditions that we're finding, these drivers are going to be battling quite a bit of understeer as we watch through the S's section. Orlin Malinov continuing to get himself closer and closer. He's pulled the gap down now to just 0.2 of a second, as he's been using Alex Stefanov as a bit of a, I would say, tow bar to try and pull himself closer along. But yet, Martin Yankov, who is out there on his own as far as qualifying goes, he's getting quicker and quicker. A green 1st sector, a purple 2nd sector out there, and just over halfway in qualifying. This is a big, bold moment for Martin Yankov. He'll be buoyed by the fact that he's only got to worry about Nikolai Mikov, who's down in 7th position in qualifying at this moment in time. Green again in the 3rd sector. This is looking good. Martin Yankov down the hill, heading over towards the line. Martin Yankov crosses the line and does find improvement, and now goes 0.4 clear at the top of his timing stand. And we say it's his because everyone else has got to try and wrestle it off of him right now. 0.4 clear of Malinov, and then you've got Nikolov Jr., Stefanov, and Stemenkov there, the 3 McLarens, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Nikolai Mikov's Porsche Clubman then only managing to go 6th fastest then, and still a full second off the pace, as Koshev then moves on up and improves to a 25.8. That's the lap time that Rosti Koshev was looking for, and crucially, that 3rd position means that it will be one last hurrah for him this season as he looks to try and challenge with everything he's got between now and the end of the hour's worth of racing that will be along just under 3 minutes left in qualifying for GT4. The final laps will look to prove important, as the 106 of Alexander Nikolov Jr. is green in the 2nd sector, which looks like improvement. Yellow, though, in the 3rd, which I think will be slightly taking away from where that wants to be at this moment in time for the McLaren driver, as this now becomes an in-lap then on circuit and diving down into the pits maybe for one final set of tyres and go off again. The Castrol colours of Valentin Stemenkov goes over towards the line, a 26.8, so this will gear up for another attempt then, as that is Alex Stefanov just on the back, looking to try and make some time out there on circuit. Remember, Alex Stefanov is a driver who's normally challenging for the race win. Not so much here at the moment with a 126.0, not necessarily able to get the BWT McLaren into position to work. So I'd say, at least at this moment in time, that Alex Stefanov here needs to find some improvement, needs the laps to start finding a section out there. Stemenkov gets a bit of a headlight flash then, running through towards turn 6 and turn 7 on circuit. Here's turn 7, very much on a precipice out there you have to be if you're Alex Stefanov, and then looking to run over towards turns 8, 9 and 10. This is turn 8 to flick through on this long back stretch, and every single time you're out there in races at Road Atlanta, you're always prioritizing, how can I get to this place, the one ultimate place to overtake right here. This is where all of the race is going to be won and lost. But Stefanov here getting a good drive out of 10B all over the curb and then some, looking to try and attack. It's a green third sector out there, and Alex Stefanov will push to the line. We'll get one lap after this, 26.2. Not good enough for an improvement, but now it's a case of who is last driver over the line. Nikolai Mikov dives into the pit, will go no better than 7th position. I think Rosti Koshev is about to do the same and does so dives into the pits. Checker flag is about to be out in 15 seconds, waved by Barney the flagman, who sits there ready and waiting for those drivers. But Dimitar Palauzov, I think, is also joining to dive down into the pits, which leaves Martin Yankov pretty much out there on his own, with maybe Orlin Malinov as a driver who can improve. There is the wait as pit lane opens for GT3. And first out, no surprises, Bozhidar Andreev, the championship leader, wanting to set some tempo. Yankov not looking like there's improvement. Malinov not looking like there's improvement. Neither too for Alex Stefanov on this final lap forward. So I think that might just set the 8 cars here in GT4 up. And knowing that Martin Yankov, I think, is going to be clear in qualifying by a sizable margin. Orlin Malinov will make a run to the line, does improve to a 25.778, so which will be called as a 7.79 in some respects by the lap. So improved, crucially did not find position, and Alex Stefanov improving to a 25.9 with a great third sector. But it is still only 5th place out there. So that sets up GT4. Martin Yankov ahead of Orlin Malinov, and a lot of work for Nikolai Mikov to do down in 7th position. But to Bozhidar Andreev and the Rhodope Racing Team Porsche, which has been absolutely brilliant out there. I have just seen a spinner in Ivaylo Dimitrov coming through towards 10A and 10B. He was trying to warm the tyres up, and very sheepishly, he's thrown it in the barriers, so he'll have to get a spare car and go and reconstitute qualifying out there. But Ivo Serafimov then, looking to get the Acura moving forward after a poor showing last time out. This is where he needs to be at his level best. See whether Acura can just walk in with a balance of performance and find itself slightly on the better side of things here today at Road Atlanta. Vladimir Mavrodiev for Off-Track Racing, currently out there in the number 52 machine, and hoping that there is going to be a good time for him today as he looks to move on. But Serafimov purple, no surprises, in the first sector, green in the second. Joris Ooms as well, looking to try and show some pace, but Bozhidar Andreev will be the driver who sets the tempo and says everybody's got to go and beat me out on circuit. Down the hill towards turns 10A and 10B, Ivo Serafimov, purple in 2 sectors behind, so Andreev might be a little bit down on speed. Remember, he hasn't driven this circuit before as Bozhidar Andreev, so he's very much trying to find his feet. Invalidates the lap, so a 19.6 is set by Serafimov. And that will be a very telling lap. But Joris Ooms in the Porsche goes half a second quicker than that. Maxim Dimitrov on a 19.3 is there at just 2/10 behind and is showing that the Porsches are here to make some progress. Paniot Karpachev, who has been desperately unlucky all season, has himself up into third position and will be very buoyed by a lap time like that to go P3 and to find success there with that attempt going over the line. And the likes of Roy Viveka crossing then as we focus to him right now, a 1:20.2, still 1.1 seconds adrift in terms of pace and needs work to do. Joris Ooms is absolutely flying though on this lap. Purple in sector 1. Purple in sector 2, and is looking like that this might be a seismic lap for Joris, who is down by not very many points at all as far as the championship goes. He's only 6 points adrift of Božidar Andreev. Purple in sector 3. The timing sheet alight by the pace of Joris Ooms. Out of 10B, looking ever consummate right now as he's going through and looking to get that done. Andreev moves to just 200ths behind Joris Ooms, who shatters, absolutely shatters that time that Andreev has been able to put down. 1:18.5 and on pole by a major margin. The track has cooled by about 4 degrees since the GT4s have been out there on circuit, so that's going to be big in the minds of how quick this track's going to get as this all goes on. But Serafimov third, Mavrodiev in fourth. Dimitar Dimitrov just there over the line, goes to 9th position, leapfrogged by the likes of Lazar Katsarski there, who has found himself through. And to pardon the pun, quite often we've seen him smoking on circuit with damage to the engine. There is a case of, I believe that's one of the Porsches there in trouble. Dimitar Dimitrov, I would have thought that was, who found himself the wrong way pointing, and that would have definitely done no favours there in the Porsche to have a second spin out there on track. And when there's a lot to try and deal with here, and a lot of drivers who are looking to prove that they are top dollar, that they are top draw out there, they are proving it. Could have even been a Vilo Dimitrov in the number 55, so it could have been that where the troubles are. Ooms then improving again on 2 sectors, first and last. 18.6, still not enough to improve on that. Božidar Andreev does improve slightly though to a 19 flat, so remains second at the moment. But the issue you're going to run into is that everybody is under the same championship points. So for Božidar Andreev, it's a difference of, well, is it going to be a case of Joris Ooms gaining 1? Is it going to be a case of Joris Ooms gaining 2 championship points, depending on placement and what cars in the pro category get mixed up with the top end of the AM category? That I am very looking forward to in this qualifying session and the subsequent race that is there. About 5 minutes remaining here in qualifying, where as things currently stand, Stanimir Borisov is in 10th position and looking for a little bit more than that on a 1:21.4, about half a second down on Dimitar Dimitrov, and looking for a bit more. That's a bit too much from Stanimir Borisov, who's just gone around and found the tyres, actually, over at turn 3. Karpachev on screen right now, and down in 6th position is Paniot at this stage, and looking around at the likes of Maxim Dimitrov, Ivo Serafimov, Božidar Andreev, Joris Ooms, and very much getting involved in it today. Vladimir Mavrodiev's got a bit of consistency here at Road Atlanta, so he'll be looking to try and prove that that is going to work. But Karpachev leaving the final corner with a green second sector in the back pocket, yellow in sectors 1, 2, and now 3 over the line. That one doesn't count, and as such, will need to go out again and push for another lap. Just a 1/10 of a second, splitting 3rd through 6th in qualifying at the moment. And that, I believe, for the GT3 AM category is going to be one to very much keep in mind. Roy Viveka to the line, jumps up and joins that group, going 5th fastest on a 19.342. So Roy, who is looking for a Roy of the Rovers moment here in this series to get back up to the pointy end, can't quite manage to find it. Maxim Dimitrov also hoping for improvements, but that time didn't count, and so we'll need to go again for another attempt as we watch the likes of Ivaylo Dimitrov here, who is hoping for a time that does start to knock on the door here as someone who hasn't yet set a lap time in this session, and Ivaylo crosses the line to a 1:20.0, and that is 8th fastest then, behind Paniot Karpachev by 0.7 of a second. Behind that, the ever noticeable Ferrari of Alexander Nikolov Sr., who will be looking to try and involve himself in this race if he possibly can. But now focusing back here to the Acura of Ivo Serafimov, who is green through all sectors so far and jumps to second. He knocks down Bozidar Andreev with a 1:18.9 and an important 18.9. That is set by Ivo Serafimov, who now knows that the likes of Andreev and Mavrodiev are always going to be swirling about like sharks. And in fact, that group down to 7th will be swirling behind. Serafimov will be pleased and buoyed with a lap time like that one. Maxim Dimitrov improving. 19.2, goes 4th fastest with that effort and goes very close to his numbered compatriot in Bozidar Andreev. So it is starting to get closer and closer still. And back up over the top of the hill, we focus back to another car that's looking to try and improve on lap time, heading over towards the line. Ivaylo Dimitrov moves quicker to a 19.7, and so again now is starting to find the building blocks, but we're down to a minute and a half here in GT3 AM, and so whoever can find a time, whoever can move up the order is going to be quite pleased. Vladimir Mavrodiev is short on a 19.4 and is hoping that to gain a tiny bit more out there, that is going to need at least a 1/10.5, 2/10 on that last lap that was done. Joris Ohms is quick, but so too is Maxim Dimitrov, who is quicker in the second sector. First and thirds go purple for Joris Ohms. Is he going to extend the buffer margin over 3.5 of a second again? Crosses the line, 18.6. Last sector there started to fall away. So now Maxim Dimitrov becomes a very interesting prospect here. 19.2 he's currently at, and crosses 18.908 front row. Maxim Dimitrov late, finding a big lap time. Ivo Serafimov cannot respond, but can Bozidar Andreev find anything? No. Down to the pits goes Bozidar Andreev, and off to the side goes the 53 of Stanimir Borisov. I'm in shock. This is going to be a huge qualifying for Joris Ohms, but there's still drivers who can affect and sway the momentum of where GT3 AM sits. Mavrodiev's one of them, but he dives to the pits. Ivaylo Dimitrov and Dimitar Dimitrov are green in the first sector. Ohms purple now in the first sector, so going even quicker still. Paniot Karpachev will also dive down into the pits with Ivaylo Dimitrov, which leaves just Dimitar Dimitrov and Joris Ohms out there. Checker flag out. Nicholas Stanev, his first car out of the GT3 Pros, which will now be making their way out. Dimitar Dimitrov into the pits, which will confirm it. Joris Ohms does not need to finish his lap. And he goes in, and he's got pole for GT3 AM. And so it leaves the 13 minutes required for GT3 Pro. A category in qualifying where that driver there, car number 1, which is second in that slew of 5 negative Delta cars that find themselves all in the same group, will be one of the, if not the, favourite to go forward and challenge again for pole. He has got a 100% pole ratio in this series, has Vladislav Shopov. He has not been on the wrong side of too much here in this, and he will pull to the back of the group does not want to be giving toe to Janowski or Stanev or Vrajilov or Venceslav Rajinov, his own teammate, who will now launch on for his first flying lap. So as you tackle turn one, it's a medium speed corner and dropping the speed down under 185 kilometers an hour, looking for power back up the hill here in Braselton, Georgia, and running through towards turn 3 and now 4. Here the long left-hander down through the S's and back up it again. And this white water rapid style run, I think, is going to be so critical for drivers who hope that they have pace in abundance to use. And look at the time that's being dropped off by Chris Vrajilov coming out of turn number 5. Stanev and Janowski close together as well. Gabriel Ivanov there. I think Vladislav Shopov's dropped massively back and will abandon any first lap attempts that are there. But it's greens across the board that we see currently from these drivers, from Rajinov, from Vrajilov, from Stanev, from Janowski. A weather condition, by the way, that is only going to get clearer and clearer as it goes. But as we sit in sim time at about 3:10, a track that will cool and cool as it goes. So last driver out there, I think, will be the improvement. Janowski purple through the third sector out there. So definitely could be making statement calls out there. 18.565, only just for Rajinov past Joris Ooms. That shows you how quick Joris was with his lap time. Gabriel Ivanov just 4,000 short, goes second then and hits the front row in the McLaren. That's a big time from Gabriel Ivanov, but everybody else then, the likes of Novev and Shopov, are looking for times. Christian Novev jumps up, goes fourth, fastest then on an 18.607. Vladislav Shopov does a 34.6, so was just looking to gear them up into an operating window, get some fresh air, and then go and attack. Chris Vrajilov is the only other driver yet to set a representative time. GT3 Pro right now has Venceslav Rajinov in control of it. So, 4 thousandths only. If you want to blink, that's about 200ths of a second that you lose when you blink. So less than a blink, a lot less than a blink is currently the gap that Venceslav Rajinov has. He's got about a fifth of a blink currently at this moment in time. But for at least this moment, Rajinov looking to improve on this second lap. Again, green through all 3 sectors, not setting any timing sheets alight in that Porsche, but building the blocks together to get an 18.372 down on the board and go 2/10 clear of Gabriel Ivanov. Absolutely wonderful in terms of time there from Vrajinov, who is wanting to say, I can still challenge for this championship, but watch out, because Vladi Shopov is clear in sector 2, is clear in sector 3, is looking to be clear at the final sector, and does go quicker by 3/10, 18 flat, says he's on pole, and on pole handsomely again here at Road Atlanta. Vladislav Shopov is one of the 3 inevitables in life. There is death, there is taxes, and there is Vladislav Shopov getting pole here at this moment in time. But Venceslav Rajinov is not giving up without a fight here. He's purple in the first sector. Gabriel Ivanov is purple in the second sector. So there are drivers finding times, finding quick, lightning fast sectors, which could pull them back in that half a second that needs to be launched back. They are hoping for. Janowski and Novev, by the way, 5th and 6th as well. They have a lot to say, so too does Chris Vrajilov, who is 7th currently in qualifying, and Joris Ooms' qualifying time right now is giving him a huge buffer over Božidar Andreev. That will be buoying a lot of confidence. Gabriel Ivanov down the hill. Vrajilov moves up to 5th fastest then with that effort. Oh, sorry, number 5, 7th fastest with that effort. Gabriel Ivanov crossing the line, 18.373, just 1,000th short of Venceslav Rajinov there. So Gabriel Ivanov threw a roll at the dice, and it didn't quite work. Stanev now 7th. Christian Novev has moved up to 4th. That bumps Joris Ooms down to 5th place. And Novev is trying to make himself known right now with Gabriel Ivanov just in front and Venceslav Rajinov not a million miles away, less than 3/4 of a tenth of a second. So I would say it is still very much in the offing at this point as we now move on towards the final few minutes of qualifying. Just 7 minutes left to go on a cooling track where drivers are looking to try and find improvements. 34 degrees Celsius out there. And we're on board with the Acura of Julian Janowski, who drops down the hill through 10A and over towards turn 10B, and hoping that this lap time is going to be good enough under the Fox Factory Bridge, and hoping that, beyond all hope, that Joris Ooms can be leapfrogged and jumped and can. 18.545, good enough to move to 5th position, still has the 3rd row of the grid, but this is a qualifying day which is proving to be tough for many a driver out there. Novev, purple in the 2nd sector and running to the line, and improves again, but not for position. 18.391, 200 short of 2nd place, and I'd say he's still hopeful for more out there. Gabriel Ivanov still staves off that buffer, but Shopov will make a lunge over towards the pit, knowing that there is not long left for this to go in favour. Nicholas Stanev then in 7th position, the first of 2 GT3 Pro stuck behind Joris Ooms' time in GT3 AM. Pushing very hard there, coming out of turn number 7 and running over towards turns 8, 9 and 10 out there on track, and hoping that there is going to be a small bit of improvement out there. And so this is going to be a tough qualifying left, knowing that you're down on time, knowing that you're running out of time to find those improvements, and looking at the sectors then as they go on by. Stanev green in that 2nd sector, but it needs to be a bit more than that, and it is. 18.404, time is found. 5th is manageable for Stanev, and looking back, it is a 10th that split 2nd through 5th. I don't think we got an easy game at Road Atlanta here for Raichanov, Ivanov, Novev, Stanev. They're all there, and Julian Janowski is not a million miles away here at this moment, as Venceslav Raichanov looks to try and build buffer in 2nd and just is not finding all of these laps currently to be satisfactory, I guess, is the right way to go and say it. There's not enough sophistication from the lap that gives the run that is required, and for that, for Raichanov over the line, this is gearing up for the big one and hoping it's there. Vrajilov is looking quick, and Christian Novev again is making the middle sector his. Purple in that middle sector, and is threatening Ivanov, is threatening Raichanov, and if this is quick, might even start to tickle the fancy of Vladi Shopov, who's clear by only 3/10, and we say only 3/10 of a second because it's been a lot bigger at different points during this season. Novev down the hill towards 10A and B, and he will now attack the curb on the left, attack the curb on the right, has to get the car settled through the middle of the corner. Yellow in sector 3, might just cost a bit of time, and over the line, Christian Novev, 18.7, it fell away with those 2 sectors, 1 and 3, did not work, and now down under 4 minutes. Well, Shopov here has got the gap he needs, but there are drivers like Stanev wanting to challenge here. Drivers like Shopov will realise that there is going to be a tall order. Raichanov quicker in sector 2, but again, 1st and 3rd sectors are yellow currently at this point. This might not be good enough heading over towards the line. It won't be, and it won't be by a large mark. Oh, actually, it will be. Sorry, there is the timing screen. There is about a second out from what I was expecting. 18.124. That is great in terms of lap time, because that puts it 2nd by just 0.06 of a second. So Venceslav Raichanov is really sounding a warning alarm now for Vladi Shopov, who goes green in sector 1 and green in sector 2 and maybe wants a couple extra 10ths of a second. Now looking to pull out of the final couple of corners and over towards the line. Vladi, what you got? 17.8. Oh, that is magnificent. Vladislav Shopov now moves to almost a quarter of a second clear and does so without batting an eyelid. Oh, that is simply brilliant from Vladislav Shopov. They just managed to find himself close, then he went, no, it's my pole. It's been my pole all season, and you will not get close enough to it. Still, though, there are drivers hoping to improve. Raichunov has a green first sector to the name, and there could still be another little hook back from the two title contenders, the two teammates out there who can look to try and confirm a team's championship here. But over the line, 18-2 does not improve. Still another attempt out there, 2 if wanted, because remember, they go till the checkered flag falls, and they are allowed to finish any lap times that they start. Gabriel Ivanov is on an outlap currently and looking to set up for one final attempt out here at Road Atlanta, and needing each and every single ounce of muscle the McLaren 720S is able to bring. This is it. Now through towards turn number 1, using all the road and then some, looking to attack, slightly misses the curb on the inside line, and now looking to run through towards turn 3 here, up over the top of the crest, keeping the car flat and poised. There is no drama at all with the steering wheel, and there, just as I say, it is a slight catch going down towards the S's, up the hill. Over the top at 5, gets well up over the gravel, and that might invalidate the lap if Gabriel Ivanov is not too careful. Vrajilov with a green first sector, Christian Novev down in the pits and down to 30 seconds here in qualifying. I think Vrajilov might be one of the last, if not the last car over the line, looking for improvement. Raichunov, as we said, will get one more attempt here at trying to be quickest over the line, and that one won't count, so this one will. Vrajilov pulls off to the side, done as far as qualifying goes. 3 seconds away from the checker flag coming out, and Venceslav needs a lap time in the number 2. But we go back to Gabriel Ivanov, who's looking for a time in car number 11. Dropping through the final corner, hoping that there's enough drive, knowing that he's down in sectors 2 and 3. Over he goes. That one won't count because of the off-track that was there. I think Vladislav Shopov is celebrating because he thinks he's got pole, but Raichunov still has something to say if he can get himself around and make that lap time work. But he's down in sector 1 and he's down in sector 2, and I wonder whether he's going to be down in sector 3 because the sun has just come out in these mostly cloudy conditions, and that will not help the track temperature. It will keep it up at the moment. So Shopov brings himself into play. Raichunov making his way over towards the pits, and that will put, again, 100% for Shopov, who does a nice 3.6 or 180 only as he goes through the final corner there in the pit, and will get some reprimands from the stewards, I'm sure of it, but that will be that. As far as qualifying is concerned, it will be car number 1 on the pole position, Vladislav Shopov. He'll be followed by Venceslav Raichunov and Gabriel Ivanov, your top 3 out there at this stage. It is a wonderful bit of qualifying then that is done, but they have an hour's worth of racing that they are looking to hit on next here at Road Atlanta. That race being a full hour long and needing to be, with all of the bells and whistles, a strong showing for a number of drivers out there. The biggest, I would say, boon out there was Joris Ohms's lap time, which was enough to put the car in 7th position, and will be looking to make gains over the course of the race, which I'm not saying that Joris Ohms can't, but will certainly give a big boon to him in his championship effort over a Božidar Andreev, who can only qualify the car 4th in category, and at its current, it's a 5-position swing for Joris Ohms. The grid then is as follows, as Vladislav Shopov will put himself on pole position. He'll be joined on the front row by Venceslav Raichunov, and Gabriel Ivanov in 3rd, has Christian Novev for company in 4th. It is then Nicholas Stanev in 5th, along with Yulian Janovsky 6th. Joris Ohms, the first of the GT3 AMs, goes in 7th, with Chris Vrajilov in 8th position. Maxim Dimitrov will start from 9th, with Ivo Serafimov in 10th. Božidar Andreev will have to be aggressive today from 11th, as Vladimir Mavrodiev lines up on row 6 alongside. It's then Roy Viveka and Paniot Karpachev on the 7th row, as Ivaylo Dimitrov and Alexander Nikolov Sr. are 15th and 16th. Lazar Katsalski and Dimitar Dimitrov then house row 9. The top 20 rounded out by Stanimir Borisov and the third penalty of Milen Milchev. So could not get through with that, and so has to start at the back of the group. In GT4s, though, Martin Yankov's got the category control with Orlin Malinov alongside. Rosti Koshev will go from third with Alexander Nikolov Jr. in fourth in class, and that leads to Alex Stefanov in fifth, Valentin Stemenkov in sixth, Nikolai Mikov very out of position in seventh place and needing to do a lot today, with Dimitar Palauzov currently in eighth position. The sounds and the sights are here ready at Road Atlanta as we are gearing ourselves up for the pace lap, which is set behind the BMW safety car, which is there out on circuit. They have 2 minutes to get themselves up onto the grid, or they will have to start from pit lane. So I look at drivers out there on track as they will get the launch forward and get that launch and go. I think the issue they found is that Roy Viveka is going to miss the start due to connection issues out there. It would have been the black and orange connection flag which got him in trouble. But listen in on this outlap, ladies and gentlemen, to the sounds and sights here of Road Atlanta. So, backstretch as we've taken a nice little listen in to what makes the GT4s tick, what makes the GT3s tick. As they get themselves set and ready, they will know that they have got a full hour ahead of them. Vladislav Shopov with control of his category, Martin Yankov in control of his. Two championship contenders of GT3 Pro and GT4, knowing it will be their mistake or the brilliance of those behind that's going to unseat them here today at Road Atlanta. For Joris Ohms, it's a case of build margin from that fourth row of the grid and move as many points as possible, knowing that it is going to be as tight as you like when it comes to racing action in just 1 week's time at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the Circuit des 24 Hours du Mans. This is the Pity Le Mans track. This is the circuit that is the baby brother to that of Le Mans. The green flag drops and we are underway. Vladislav Shopov gets a great launch, and immediately Joris Ohms is a driver who gets swarmed by some of the GT3 pros, and there's contact as they head towards turn one. They all dive through. They're all okay in GT3 as they just about scrabble their way through. GT4 now looks to get itself set and sorted as they run down towards 10A, 10B in the start of this race. Vladi Shopov clear, even off second, but crucially Venceslav Reichenov was mugged off the start. He went to fourth. GT4 waits all the way as they go, and look at that on the start, waiting, and they might just ping off of that start. Orlin Malinov as they've gone through, but Malinov will sweep around the outside. A lot of miscommunication on the GT4 start then as they'll continue to be side by side. Alex Stefanov is up to third as we watch coming out then through 10B as they go, but look at that around the outside. Orlin Malinov leads in the Aston Martin, and that now puts Martin Yankov in an interesting position, and it will also put the stewards in a very interesting position as well. down the hill they go. Christian Novev looking for moves now as he gets by Venceslav Rajchanov, who now falls backwards into 4th position. So another pass then gets made, and Joris Ohms losing the lead of his category to Božidar Andreev, who has got a wonderful launch through. And somehow, some way, Joris Ohms has had himself a torrid start to this race, who has been on the wrong side. I think he overcooked it, making contact with Chris Vrajilov through the middle of the corner, and it's completely unsettled Joris Ohms to the point now where Joris is looking at the back of Maxim Dimitrov trying to make a way through. But Andreev goes from 4th to 1st to actually go through. And I tell you what, Andreev here, this is the mark of what makes him a great driver. He just does so well. Up the hill they go. Ivaylo Dimitrov the focus as we watch with Karpachev and Serafimov. This was Nicholas Stanev on the opening lap, getting it all wrong up over the top of the crest. Turn 5 is the place where most drivers get it wrong, and bang, into the wall there, and knowing that it is a very tall day from there because you got no fast repairs in this series. Dimitar Palauzov, by the way, has the black and orange mechanical flag for damage, and so that will definitely put a very big hit in on that. Alex Stefanov then in 3rd position, looks to try and climb himself up the hill, is looking at Martin Yankov thinking, where can I go and find that move? You got Koshev in play, and behind that, Nikolai Mikov desperate to make the move in the Revo Porsche here, and it might almost be 3 wide there with Valentin Stemenkov trying to make the Castrol car move into position. Oh, it's contact, and it's going to be Mikov. Mikov's around, and somehow he's saved. Nikolai Mikov is somehow saved. He had a big tap of a saved your life with Alexander Nikolov Jr., who's now just thrown himself off the road. Nikolai Mikov could not have afforded that, but Martin Yankov now brings him close with Alex Stefanov and continues to bring himself close with Malinov, your race leader, crucially taking a point or 2 away out there at this stage of the race, and points are going to be so very vital to talk about. Joris Ohms now challenging hard for this position, wants that pass back on Božidar Andreev, and not quite getting what is required at this stage. But when you look at this for Joris Ohms, he wants that place, he wants those points, and he wants to run back to Vrajilov and Janovsky and the entire group there in front. Oh, Ivo Serafimov in trouble, and that would have been right on the back, going through with Paniot Karpachev going through turn number 7, and Karpachev didn't do anything wrong. Back steps out, just too aggressive over the curb, and that balance of weight going away on the off-camber corner. Ivo Serafimov drops the car and drops a bucket of places, and has he dropped the GT3 AM chance of a championship along with it too? Still nose to tail. Joris Ohms keeping his eyes focused through turn 2 and now towards turn number 3, hoping that the pass is going to open up and be there, and be very much a case of Joris now trying what he can to now get that launch through the left of turn 5 up over the top of the hill. Don't overcook it. These Porsches right now are dominant in their category here. 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the GT3 AMs right now, with Maxim Dimitrov shaking a little bit behind. Valentin Stemenkov then trying to bring himself into play, then trying to get the pass done on Junior for position, and not quite finding Alexander Nikolov Jr.'s pass out there on circuit. So it remains close between them, but it is that at the moment close. Speaking of drivers who have made great progress in this race, Milen Milchev has done really well as we focus to Nikolov Sr. there. The Ferrari eyeing up the Porsche, the green Porsche of Dimitar Dimitrov, as the Yekov Rally School Ferrari looks to now make that move, going over to the inside, turned outside by the time they hit the brakes at 10A, and aggressive as you like, sweep around the outside. Dimitar Dimitrov had nothing for it. Alexander Nikolov Sr. gets the pass done. And now at the front, 2.3 is the gap between Shopov and Ivanov, as it still continues on with this for Joris Ohms, who now thinks about Božidar Andreev. Doesn't have to make the move immediately, and that is worth keeping in mind, that this is a move that does not have to happen straight away. It's a move that needs a little bit more nuance to it, because they are on their own by about 2.7 seconds here to Chris Vrajilov, and having to defend over the lumpy, bumpy top half of the section of the circuit. heading down over through 6 and 7. It is a case for Joris Ooms of patience will personify, but we know that Bozidar Andreev drives like a millionaire with about €10 in his pocket. He is that sort of driver who is absolutely money, but drives as if he's got none, and he needs to preserve every single bit of it. Now here comes the look, defended again, and that late movement over from Bozidar Andreev is so trademark of the Rodopa Racing Porsche there, of just waiting to see whether there's going to be alongside. If there isn't, I'll cover it back off, take my natural line. It's very cheeky, it's very clever though, in terms of how you put that move together and manage that in this one. Just the two retirees then from the early stages of the race is Ivaylo Dimitrov, oh, in the grass, hold on to it Nelly, and manages to do so then, keeping eyes very firmly focused forward on Lazar Katsarski's McLaren and trying to find any which way to move up to what will be 12th position in this race if the pass can be found, which it can't, through turn 3 and turn 4 and back down through the S's here in the Whitewater Rapid Run, which we continue to say that it is here because you very much hold on and you get that massive amount of depression down at the bottom of the hill before you have to climb back up it again and find a way through. Very good for toboggans. Martin Yankov then finding himself close as the move does get made on Katsarski by Ivaylo Dimitrov just as we looked away from it. Martin Yankov though knows that points mean everything here with Nikolai Mikov, the last car running currently at this moment in time. This is as stonewall as it gets. Remember, double points come into play at the championship finale, which will be at, of course, the Circuit de la Sarthe. And with a 5-point championship lead currently, Martin Yankov's looking around and knowing it's normally 1-point margin, but with double points it would be 2-point margin. So any points he gets, if he makes it 10, he'll have 10 points championship lead. He'll have 5 places worth of buffer, plus the 4 points bonus he'd get for instead of the 2 points bonus for a 0 instant point race, which does prioritize the clean racing driver out there. I have just noticed the gap come down here for Vladislav Shopov on this lap to 1.6 seconds. I think he's just had to deal with traffic on this lap of Nikolov Jr. and Valentin Stemenkov. So we are now going to hit the traffic here for the very first time. And Raichanov and Novev are looking at themselves here and thinking Alexander Nikolov Jr. here is doing a very nice favour here for Venceslav Raichanov, trying to get close. So it's taken him 9 minutes to get through the lapping process, and it will only come around more and more often as this race turns along. Raichanov happy to sit in the draft. Novev, who of course led the championship after the opening round, winning at Sebring, just hasn't found the same level of form since then. And up over the under the Fox Factory Bridge, which marks itself as the entrance to the circuit, and through the final corner, Novev again is able to stave off the charge, and the balance is still very much intact in 3rd and 4th positionsville at this moment in time, but the lead gap is now starting to hunt on down. Shopov knows the gap is down to 1.3, and Gabriel Ivanov having a big wiggle to try and get down the inside of Rosti Koshev, and the GT4s do determine where the GT3s actually go through and make those positions, so you have to be very patient as a GT3 driver. You can't just bully and door your way through on every single driver out there. There is an art to lapped traffic and finding a way through, as Stanimir Borisov now looks to try and put a bit of pressure on. This is up against Dimitar Dimitrov, and they've got the recovered Dimitar Palauzov at 5 laps down, running here to try and keep themselves in play. Off the road goes one, and that's going to be no good. Behind them's Ivo Serafimov. This might be a bit of a pick-me-up at turn 6. Straight to the inside. Thank you very much. Ivo Serafimov has gained a place. Paniot Karpachev now starts to move close and thinks about picking up Vladimir Mavrodiev's number. Getting that move done over through the final couple corners. Turn 1, if you can get a good enough launch down the hill, gives you this run, and at the moment it looks like there is a half a chance here that getting this move sorted can be made. Looks to the inside, it's just that a look, and ultimately for Paniot It's another case of watching Mavrodiev's mirrors. Maybe Stamenkov and Nikolov Jr. can be a big pick in terms of finding their pass. And so now down the hill through the S's, this is where it's very tough to pick up that run. And Paniot Karpachev gets close, but again, needs to pick up the run off the exit and avoid too much drama, and gets a good run here. Might decide to go the other side of the traffic. Thought about it, sits back in line. It's getting very squirrely for Paniot. Trying to go around the outside of Nikolov Jr. Does it once, needs to do it twice! Nikolov Jr. gets into the side of him, goes around, and Stamenkov picks the place. Alexander Nikolov Jr. battling to try and stay ahead of the GT4 in front. Fighting with the GT3s is never a wise decision, and Alexander Nikolov Jr. ultimately pays the price there for that. Joris Ohms looking for that GT3 AM lead. Again, can't quite get there. Yankov is all over the back of Orlin Malinov. Chris Vasilov will go through now as they continue to search for that. There is Milan Milchev trying to get by Lazar Katsarski, and it's going to manage that one. So the BMW picks up another one, 13th. Lucky for some, Milan Milchev's making moves here through the field and doing what is necessary on to their 10th lap of the race. So Alexander Nikolov Sr. waits in the wings as they continue on and try and scrap at the moment. Andreev still now getting bottled up here behind Orlin Malinov here. The Aston Martin's proven to be very difficult. And watch Joris Ohms now coming out of turn 6. Watch Joris Ohms for the race lead here. They might have to fight 3 wide on the straight. They will be 3 wide on the straight. Andreev trying to be the last of the late breakers, but Joris Ohms goes around the outside. Still, you've got to keep your foot in. It's off camber here. Joris Ohms is trying to go up and under of Božidar Andreev, who's trying everything to hold himself steady, but this is the pitfalls of Road Atlanta. If you can't get it in one corner, you can attack off the exit. Look at them, wing mirror to wing mirror, the GT AM leader and the GT AM second place driver in the championship, not giving each other an inch as they head their way to 10A and 10B. Andreev gets into the side of Joris Ohms and makes the move. Oh, that was a big defense and a very forceful one at that as well. Felt very touring car the way that defense was made, but Andreev is not afraid to get the elbows out, and here is Lazar Katsarski, who's going to defend on the inside. Oh, that was brave. Round the outside, Nikolov Sr. gets his move done. Might be an attempt to try and come back here down the hill off the Fox Factory Bridge, but not going to find it. Big old move there from the likes of Alexander Nikolov Jr. Katsarski searches at turn 1, but he's going to find nothing but no place gain. P15 right now for Lazar Katsarski, but wowee. A big wowee out there for that move. That one had close written all over it, and it will remain close back in GT3 AM's lead as well, because you just can't take your eyes off of it. The more they start to scrap, Joris Ohms and Božidar Andreev, it will give Maxim Dimitrov the thunder to go and say, I want to win this race. I'm sure he wants to win this race either way, but it will give him even more of an opportunity, knowing that he can smell the exhaust fumes of the 2 cars in front. No heroics this time into 10A and 10B. The patience is still very much there and in the mix, but Joris Ohms now looking to climb up the hill, looking for which way can it go, which way can the place be found. Božidar Andreev still holding resolute in that position. Joris wants to find his pass, and he still can't quite manage it here. Taking a slightly wider line through turn 1. Now he's starting to get into the mirrors here and try and force mistakes. Remember, they've still got a pit stop to serve. They are limited by capacity to about 60% of the fuel tank, so they can't go the full hour. They can only go to about 35 to maybe 40 minutes at a push. So that's what they're looking at, where they can get that small push. Karpachev and Mavrodiev then closest. I believe that is Paniot Karpachev through now on Vladimir Mavrodiev, and that will put Karpachev 4th in class and looking towards a good day, knock on wood, because we know that Karpachev hasn't had things easy. Martin Yankov continuing to stay in resolute closeness to Orlin Malinov, will be querying the get-go and the launch to see where they go and where the start zone is. It is always posted, of course, in the Bueller's Discord where where the start zone is for each and every single round. And ultimately, the start zone goes all the way up to the start line. I do believe it does, as the green go area. So it goes from basically just out of the final corner, which actually you could ping if you wanted to. Vladislav Shopov for going too early, for accelerating aggressively before the start zone, then in terms of the race. But you can also say that Martin Yankov was trying to leave it as late as possible, and there was a little bit of confusion on the line. So we'll have to have a lot of look. And oh no! Contact! Top two in category come together. Somehow they're all alive and stay with it. But that, in the middle of nowhere, from that battle, has Joris Erms through, and somehow, some way, he and Andreev did not lose out. Andreev was deep through turn 3. Erms found the inside at 4. It was an ever-decreasing radius. Erms, I think, got himself along enough to go and make that move. But Bozhidar Andreev somehow avoids either barrier there, sliding side by side. They both could have gone anywhere after that. They both could have had massive damage from a moment like that. But Joris Erms has the number and gets through. And Maxim Dimitrov could not capitalize, could only look. And dramas in GT3 AM now start to raise. Oh, goodness. That could have been huge. That could have been absolutely instrumental to racing like this being a huge talking point here today. Ivo Serafimov trying to recover back through the field. That's Dimitar Dimitrov. He's trying to get his launch through and get his pass by, and now needs to do it here on the brakes into 10A. Round the outside, gives the inside for 10B. Is there going to be fight on the exit? There is. So up the hill, who's got it under the Fox Factory Bridge? No surprises, it's Ivo Serafimov who now gets that sorted just before Rosti Koshev there. The lap traffic that brings itself in, defended hard over to the inside, because here comes Dimitar straight on back. Dimitar looking like he's going to be attacking with a scimitar, hoping that his move is going to be made, and it's just not. So ultimately has to yield. Ivo Serafimov now is 16th. Has a bit of work to do to move to Lazar Katsarski, who is a ways away down the road there. As you can see on screen, 6.6 seconds to try and chase down, weaving by Alex Stefanov. Oh, speaking of which, that might be Lazar Katsarski in the wall. And it is. Turn 5. And he's done that one by sliding all on his own, catching the curb wrong. And you can see it just over the brow. He will disappear behind the trees and into the barriers there. So Lazar Katsarski, an all too familiar sight over the course of this season, finding the barriers, and will definitely need to try and find that consistency value over the course of the races. It's quite often that we've seen the front end damage there, and it's a real shame to see out there as Martin Yankov now goes for the race lead and trying to find it. Malinov just sticks the foot in off the turn number 10, number A, or letter A, and holds on steady. Then down the inside, interrupting the battle, will be Ivo Serafimov, and Malinov can breathe a sigh of relief for a little bit longer, looking to hold that. Lights flashing there from Dimitar Dimitrov, knowing that Stanimir Borisov is now behind in the Porsche and looking to try and keep on in play. And into the pits, no shocks, Lazar Katsarski into the pit, and that is not with black and orange mechanical flag damage, which is a mandatory requirement to come in within 4 laps to serve, to make sure that you are not being a danger to other drivers in the field, but more rather just trying to get the pit stop out of the way early. Not going to lose too much time by making that pit stop and then holding that station steady, moving on by. But at least for the moment, it is a race that is dominated at the front, as now it gets busy for 3rd in category, as here comes a look from Rosti Koshev against Alex Stefanov. Trying to line it up. AMG Mercedes versus McLaren 570, I believe it is, out there on track. Oh, it was late. That was a late defense going through, but ultimately it was middle of the line from Alex Stefanov. Koshev was trying to desperately move to the outside. I'd say that was erratic. Now looking to pick up the run here to the inside, trying to get the move, and it still sits back and says there is more to be done. There is more to be had. And Koshev, although he couldn't get the move done on the 570S, will certainly be looking for more out there in these battles. That is a little bit of a slow beamer out there on track, and that will be Milen Milchev then in 13th position, who has now fallen to the clutches of Nikolov Sr., hoping for any which way to go and get a move, hoping to climb up the order. Koshev now picks up a chance and thinks about, well, can I go around the outside? And the answer to that is no. Stay in line and hold your place, hold fire. There is still a long way to go, but again, 10A and 10B. It's the one great place on this circuit where moves get made and it never gets boring and it never gets tired. Seeing drivers look to try and hook it up, because you can catch them early, you can catch them in the middle, you can catch them late, and it's going to be late again. Then from Rusty Koshev, it's fended way over to the inside then by Alex Stefanov, maybe trying to take away the Hail Mary pass as they move, and officially out of the race now. Lazar Katsarski is, so he'll join Nicholas Stanev as drivers who are out. And I do want to point out, say it quietly, what's going on in GT3 AM, as here comes the look all the way to the inside of the circuit, trying to get the move. Alex Stefanov is just having to fend off with anything he can get his hands off here for Rusty Koshev, who knows that he's going to be out of championship contention but due to the fact he can't make the final round. But for Alex Stefanov here, he is just doing what he needs to defend. He doesn't have the pace of Malinov, he doesn't have the pace of Yankov, but he does have the pace to fight for a podium, and that's what he's hoping to do. I want to point out two things. Maxim Dimitrov's close. Evo again! Not again, Ivo Serafimov running into troubles then. Turn 5 has caught again over the top of the crest, catching the curb wrong, and you can't catch it in the sense of you can put two tyres up on the curb. You've got to attack it almost to say, I've got to put either no tyres on the curb or 4 tyres on the curb. It's such a massive curb that is raised. It's so easy to unsettle, and Serafimov has been caught out. Roy Viveka desperate now to make some places up, because he's down in 17th and make it 16th as he's trying to get to 16th, sorry, as he looks at Stanimir Borisov and Dimitar Dimitrov. Maxim Dimitrov, though, on the other hand, has his eyes set on Bozidar Andreev. 7/10 of a second. Andreev has really sprung into life over the last couple of laps. It's been down as low as 4/10 of a second. But at least for the time being, I would say Maxim Dimitrov wants the pass, wants the movement, wants to go and start putting a dent into Bozidar Andreev. Remember, this is a battle on for 8th and 9th as Rusty Koshev now continues down the hill and starts looking about for any sort of way to go and pick up points and to pick up movement. 8th and 9th, remember, 2-point swing, 45 points, place 43 if you get them. Outside line searching for Koshev. Outside of 6 can be held. Outside of 7, much more difficult. Koshev round the outside, all in front of your race leader, Vladi Shopov. And now they're going to move all the way across the circuit. Shopov's got to go all the way to the right-hand side and does so. And now Koshev looks to pick up that side draft here. Oh, contact! There, side-to-side contact. Koshev has to step out of the throttle slightly as they went through for fear of losing the car. But Alex Stefanov is not moving. I think he's being very calm and courteous in this one. Koshev's the one who's driving pretty much ragged and aggressively at this stage. Yankov back to behind. All in Malinov for place at 25 minutes. And into the pits goes Ivo Serafimov, looking to make the stop. And now, in fact, I think is dropping way down the order behind the likes of your GT4 category out there. So I think this is really starting to become a telling story of Ivo Serafimov's championship hopes, because they are going up in a puff of smoke here today. But Yankov still trying to hold himself steady, still knows that a race win is not out of the question, will allow Vladi Shopov to go to the outside. It takes a tiny bit of toe away. But as they now move through, Yankov falls back into line, and suddenly it's on for second here. Overall, Gabriel Ivanov is under immense amounts of pressure as we watch Dimitar Dimitrov. We've got to look at Gabriel Ivanov here, ladies and gentlemen, because Christian Novev is trying to get that second place away, and I think he's in range to do it. Look at this, McLaren versus McLaren, and that McLaren has great grunt in a straight line, and that's why it certainly works for 720 here at Road Atlanta. Here comes Christian Novev, thought about it, he's being offered the outside line, heading to 10A, he gets it, battle of brakes, they go through, and Gabriel Ivanov has enough to stave it off, but who's going to be the most tight off of the exit of turn 10B, and down the hill, Novev gets another good run, starting to search to try and pick this one off. Can there be a fight with traffic in front to make that move? Ivanov defensive, heading over towards turn 1. Novev trying to get this big slingshot out of turn 1, this effectively hook and ladder to go over towards turn number 3, but still can't quite get there. Car in the wall spun. That's Stanimir Borisov there, who spun around at turn 3 that they've had to get by, but they stave off the momentum there, and it looked like Austin Powers for Borisov trying to get back onto circuit, which really hurt Martin Yankov for the second consecutive lap. It's going to have to leave the door open here, heading towards turn number 6, but again, as they head through 6 and look around at turn 7, it's not just all in Malinov, it's Dimitar Palauzov they've got to get by, and look at that. The traffic not playing ball the way it would like, and suddenly it's clear as day for Venceslav Raichanov, who could go and get himself back on the podium if he could necessarily want to. So it is remaining one of those very, very tough battles that you find. Back down the hill again, and still Novev searching for the pass that makes P2 happen for him, and knowing that he will be back in form should he be able to make this move. Gabriel Ivanov is having a very, very nice run of things today, and is hoping that he does not have to keep himself in any form of trouble, with Chris Vrajilov down in 6th position right now. Christian Novev needs these points for the team's championship just to keep it alive, heading to Circuit de la Sarthe in 1 week's time. So, Gabriel, what do you have? This was Stanimir Borisov, and it's a nothing spin here. It's just one of those spins where you go in through the corner and you just haven't got the grip in the rear because you're trying to take it at a certain speed that the GT3 needs a bit more to unlock the downforce. To drive faster, you gotta, hate to say it, drive faster sometimes, and that is the way where that sort of spin becomes very, very prevalent out there in a race like this. But Novev again holding himself close. We are nearing towards that pit stop window, which will be around the halfway stage or slightly after that, at 28 minutes 55 seconds through of the hour that has been run currently. Christian Novev looking around, and so too now is Orlin Malinov, because Martin Yankov thought to the inside, trying to use the likes of Yulian Janovsky as a way to make the pass work. Doesn't work, and so it's now wait. Venceslav Raichanov will make the call to dive into the pits. Is your first taker in, and there goes Maxim Dimitrov straight down the inside of Bozhidar Andreev. So Bozhidar has work to do again. Now back to 3rd in category. Now he's dropping more points. 4 points drop now between him and Joris Ohms. It's now Andreev leads the championship by 2 championship points. That is nothing when they go to the final. Ah, Maxime! Straight off the road at turn 1, having to catch a massive tank slapper through the middle of the corner as he just about avoids it. Now has to abandon ship, trying to rejoin through the old bike section of track, and having to deal with the slowdown penalty that follows along with it. He might lose the place here to Paniot Karpachev. He's being very cheeky trying to serve it. He served the penalty and kept the place, but there goes 2nd, and Bozhidar Andreev can have a sigh of relief out here on circuit, because he knows that he has just dodged a pretty sizable bullet. Nikolov Sr. is down in the pits currently, and Christian Novev still trying to find that move on Gabriel Ivanov. Neither of them happy to react to what's going on with Venceslav Raichanov here, and they are now 7 seconds off of Vladi Shopov, who leads this race outright, as he has done so many times this season, but did not manage to make anything work at Circuit of the Americas. So this is really a day of find a little bit more out there, say there is more on offing, but find that pace and generate that extra position. Novev then looks around at it. He's still out there on circuit, but Bozidar Andreev in 7th. Looks around. Paniot Karpachev now makes the call to dive into pit lane, and suddenly that gap over to Joris Ooms. Ooms here is only 3.5 seconds off of Chris Vrajilov. So Vrajilov here is going to have a very tough race between now and the end, as they all look to sit about and say, what more can we do to find these places, these all-important passes? We've also got Rosti Koshev, who's the first of the GT4s in to make a pit stop. Shopov still has fuel in the tank, will still go longer, and a lot of drivers like going until they can't go no more, until the tank runs dry, and it gives a huge advantage because you're on the lightest possible car that you've got, as Dimitar Dimitrov now hits the lane and makes his pit stop. Martin Yankov, though, he's been staring at the back of that Aston Martin. He'll feel like all in Malinov's James Bond here, because there must be some super secret weapon that is keeping him at bay from moving to the race lead. And in fact, on cue, will now dive down into the pit and will look to make that stop. It's a right, left, right into the pit, so it's very easy to speed if you're not too careful. And Martin Yankov certainly hasn't done anything like that. He's followed in by Bozidar Andreev, Vladimir Mavrodiev, and Ivaylo Dimitrov, who all come in at the same time. Now, tyres and fuel are set separate, so it's not a case you're going to gain a huge advantage by changing tyres and changing fuel, but at least at the moment they need the fuel, and if they put the tyres on, they know they can burn through the tyres very, very quickly. Novev staying close at the moment here, as Gabriel Ivanov is just keeping him at an arm's reach. Well, in comes one, and in comes two. Shopov stays out there at the moment, but Gabriel Ivanov and Christian Novev are going to hit the pits at exactly the same time. Also in the pits is Valentin Stemenkov, who's just leaving pit lane right now, along with Milen Milchev. But Roy Viveka here is a driver who is also in a very similar boat to Ivo Serafimov right now, trying to build up points, trying to gain time. But the 59 Mark Speed car, I think, has just found itself in the wrong position. The disconnect right on the gridding process has really hurt Roy Viveka today, and he's got more to deal with. And speaking of more to deal with, out of the pits, Alex Stefanov and Rosti Koshev. Part 2 goes. Ivanov has kept himself ahead in the pit stop. He'll jump away, but where is Raichanov? Miles down the road at this point in time. 2 seconds away at this stage. Go back to Koshev, why don't we? Because Koshev's trying to line it up. They've got slipstream from Mavrodiev in front. That's giving Alex Stefanov just the tiniest bit of buffer that is necessary at 10A. Close you go, in the mirrors you go. No dice. In it comes, though, your overall race leader, Vladislav Shopov, to make the pit stop, and has to go and make the pit stop. Maxim Dimitrov leaving pit lane right now, will also be dropping a fair heap of time, as he's behind Paniot Karpachev now and behind Bozidar Andreev. So Karpachev's had a really good pit stop phase to bring himself back into contention here, and you're looking at Koshev, who is trying to bring himself into play. He'll look behind at Ivaylo Dimitrov, now trying to find a way through. And the question is, will you? The question is, won't you? On the right, you can see the difference in times, and a lot of those differences you can see are there from drivers. So you can see the differences of where that gap's going, where that gap keeps coming down from. Ivaylo wiggling about. That would have scared then Alex Stefanov in through the corner, and again can't get the clearance through turn number 7. So Alex Stefanov now will see the driver of Ivaylo Dimitrov's very striking Porsche there, the 991 GT3R, there fly on by, and that was huge in terms of getting on by, because now Alex Stefanov has a bit of work to do to now keep himself away and just try and run on by. Nikolov Jr. hits the pits. Malinov in the pits as well. Martin Yankov will be worth keeping an eye out on because he pitted earlier, and this is a drag race. This is going to be a case of, has Martin Yankov been in the pits and done it right? It's going to be close here as they head through turn 1 up the hill. Orlin Malinov's got to get up to speed here. He's got to wait for the blue commitment cone. He stays ahead, but he's got cold tyres. Martin Yankov's all over him here. How's the drive off the exit of turn 4? I think he's just staved it off. Martin Yankov will kick himself. Ivaylo Dimitrov is out. Connection drop, and so he will have a massive shame in terms of his race. But look at Martin Yankov. He wants to be all over Orlin Malinov like a rash here, out of the battle for just a lap, and suddenly Martin Yankov is back in play, and he wants Orlin Malinov to cede the position, and Orlin will just absolutely not budge. All the way over to the right-hand side of the circuit. Christian Novev continues to remain close. Here with Gabriel Ivanov, they're still 7 seconds off the race lead right now, with Raichunov just behind at 1.2 seconds. But keep an eye on Yankov. He's going for the move to the inside, and I don't think there's much that can be done by Malinov, who again makes the outside work. He works the Oracle and does it again. How on earth is he able to hold that place when you look around at Martin Yankov, who just cannot get any drive on the inside at 10A? I wonder if he's got to go to the outside. He'll try it at turn 1, won't he? Here, trying to make this pass round the outside. No, he'll try and cut it up and under, so he gets the inside at turn 3. It's not there. Here comes Novev, trying to get by Ivanov. This is a big move attempt, but again, Gabriel Ivanov is so good on the brakes. He just holds on and holds on and holds on some more, and it's really frustrating for someone like Christian Novev, who wants this podium and a little bit higher to the second step, because Venceslav is watching this with reverie, going, I quite like third and second. I might want to take a 1-2, as is tradition in this series for my team, and try and secure overall the team's championship by some distance out there at this point. It would take a miracle for it not to go. That's slow off the exit. There you go. Bingo. Christian Novev picks it up from Gabriel Ivanov at turn number 5. Ivanov with a half slide through the corner and a full slide at the next one. Now completely drops the car. Turn 5 was the warning shot. Turn 6 says goodbye. Oh wow. 22 minutes remaining on the clock, and the trouble befalls and is befitting there. That was huge. Now we're going to get some interesting plays as well, because Ivo Serafimov is going to have to try and get through Malinov and Yankov soon, as Nikolai Mikov now hits pit lane, and so is going to make his stop. It's been a tough day at the office for Nikolai Mikov. Martin Yankov just cannot afford to do anything silly late on in this race. He cannot afford retirement, but he's trying desperately to get by Orlin Malinov, and he is throwing the proverbial kitchen sink down at it. Every single move has an answer for it from Malinov, who goes very aggressive over turn 5's curb and tries to stay out of trouble before running through to the next 2 consecutive right-handers of 6 and 7. Close again goes Martin Yankov, but still Yankov can't at this point open up the opportunity presented to make the move, and this will be for position behind, trying to make that dive on by. Ivo Serafimov to the right-hand side will take a point away from Martin Yankov, will take a point away from Orlin Malinov, and now you start looking around here at Orlin Malinov. He's still got a gap of about a car length here, and that is just enough to stave off the challenge. There's a spinner. Oh, into the back of Nikolov they go, and suddenly Orlin Malinov, that's the moment that you waited for. Martin Yankov going yoink. I'll take that one. That is a big move, but Malanov's not finished. He'll have to go around the outside of turn 1, and with commitment, the Aston Martin Vantage tries to get it done on the M482. Now it's going to be turn 3. Who's braver? Around the outside of 3. Yankov leads. Now through turn 4. They go side by side. Martin Yankov, desperate. All in Malinov. This would be an almighty hold after the contact there with the car in front. Oh, no, he turns across the nose. He turns across the nose. There goes all in Malinov. Dumped out to the race lead by Martin Yankov. And he now falls off of the podium. You couldn't write it. Well, the red mist will truly descend. It starts with Nikolov here, spinning around at 10A and 10B. Gets into the corner too hot. Almost catching Milan Milchev by surprise, who just about avoids it there, trying to spin the tyres up to spin it back around. Very Roman Grosjean-esque, the way that manages. But for Alexander Nikolov, as he tries to get back up to power and battles with the traction control, you could see there Ivo Serafimov through, but then all in Malinov, bang! There's the first piece of contact that brings it together. And then a full half a lap for Martin Yankov to try and battle and gain that place. And it goes all wrong up at the top of the hill at turn number 5, where many a good race at Road Atlanta goes to die. But right now, Alex Stefanov will be quite happy at being in third, but would quite like second here off of Rosti Koshev, who will move to second in the championship if all things go like this. Remember, Martin Yankov might be picking up some points here if he's not careful, and he might have something like a qualifying ban if he's not too careful by the time he moves on through. But they have to let the cars go by, and speaking of cars that go by, that's Venslav Raichinov, who's just gone through on these drivers. Paniot Karpachev here, though, I do want to pay some focus to, because he's caught the back of Bozhidar Andreev, and while Paniot Karpachev is not in the championship hunt, he does have a sizable role to play now with where Andreev sits, where you look at Maxim Dimitrov sitting at this moment at what is currently 16 points back in the championship. I'd say I look at Paniot Karpachev if he gets this move done. Bozhidar Andreev might be looking at those 3.4 seconds to Maxim Dimitrov with a little bit of trepidation on track, because he doesn't want to deal with any of that in terms of this race. Karpachev with the launch out of turn 7, but Bozhidar Andreev, at least for the time being, has been able to find 0.3 of a second. Now let's dissect this. All in Malinov versus Martin Yankov. Who moves over where? This is the perfect camera angle down the hill to see how close it gets. Malinov is over the curb and trying to keep himself out of the way. Oh, I don't know where Martin Yankov's got to go there. All in Malinov's trying to pinch, and ultimately he takes a bit too much out of the track. So Martin Yankov, I think, is desperately unlucky to get caught up in that one. And all in Malinov, I'm not sure there's much you can do. Lights desperately flashing from Bozhidar Andreev. You can sense the urgency there with Valentin Stemenkov. I look at Bozhidar Andreev. He is probably very flustered in that cockpit right now. He drives very much in a case of I've got to give it 100%, and anything less than that, I just cannot get the car to work, as Stanimir Borisov will run off the road at turn 1 just behind and just about keep himself out of harm's way. Will rejoin back at turn 4 on the exit and continue on. But there are still battles out there. What about Chris Radulov, who's been quietly going about his business here? He's found the back of Yulian Janovsky. This is for the top 5. And suddenly that Acura is under a little bit of pressure here. And if those two decide that they want to get busy and there's contact, Joris Ooms would absolutely love to try and step up and take the mantle and say, I'd like to gain an extra place or two out there and boost my points haul in comparison to where he wants to be, because 5th place would be huge in terms of the seismic points differences, seeing he's only 6 points back in the championship. And right now, the difference between that 7th place and that 8th place overall is 2 points. It would be a 4-point swing if he could get back up into 5th. By comparison. So that's what he'll be eyeing up. And speaking of eyeing up, this group now is eyeing up the battle on for second overall, which Alex Stefanov has just picked up a wonderful run, and now will thread the needle 3 wide with Dimitar Palauzov looking to get it done on the inside. Koshev takes a little bit of a hit there with a slightly bent grill as he now looks to try and get the run off the exit. Alex Stefanov, oh, that was brilliant running there. Smash and grab sim racing at its finest. Koshev doesn't know which way to go, and they're side by side behind. Janowski and Vrajilov, which way are you going to go? Janowski's going to go in the grass, 4 wide. 2 battles go side by side against each other. Sensational passing as they go through. Vrajilov on the inside. Can he get the move done here on Yulian Janowski? Koshev gets his pass back, but still you got to try and confirm it. Chris Vrajilov round the outside of the final corner. Now needs to try and confirm this move. Yulian somehow defends. That was incredible. That's a top 10 worthy moment, if ever I saw one in iRacing top 10s. Oh my, what a huge moment. Oh, Koshev in the gravel, and that looked like there was contact there. Oh, Rusty, not the way it wants to go. Through turn 1, it was a case of Alex Stefanov trying to throw the car down the inside. Koshev tried to slam the door, and goodbye battle it goes for Koshev. He now falls behind Orlin Malinov, and that now becomes the battle for the final spot on the podium in GT4. Vrajilov not giving this one up just yet. Yulian Janowski here in 5th is still going to be a driver who wants to try and get everything he can out of a race. He's a never quit driver as Yulian, who's come up through the touring car scene of the British sim races when they were running, and now is looking to try and do everything possible to move on up. Now on the brakes they go to 10A and 10B. We'll take another look. This was Koshev getting the move straight back down the inside of turn 10A, getting it done. This was Alex Stefanov getting it done up at the top of the hill at the far end of the circuit here, and managing that with aplomb. A little bit of contact there, and then Yulian Janowski and also Chris Vrajilov throwing everything they could at it around the traffic to make the battle. It's not often that you see 4 wide heading to 10A and 10B, and it was just, and I mean just, too close as they all went on for it. But Vrajilov still keeping himself there, and we are fast running out of time. And suddenly look at Bozhidar Andreev and what he's got to try and deal with here. Paniot Karpachev is right up underneath and knows that he can sniff behind that spoiler there of the Porsche in front. A chance for a move, looking to try and find an angle which makes it work. Out of turn 6 is going to be the big place to try and get that move done. Koshev's going to be a little bit of a stymie, a blockade, and that doesn't really help things out there. Koshev was trying to get into line as quickly as possible. That takes away the run then from Paniot Karpachev, and there's going to be no help from Orlin Malinov either, because it's all about drive coming off for the exit, and I think Bozhidar Andreev has just been able to do that. But look in the distance at Maxim Dimitrov. He's looming like a spectre here compared to these two drivers. If Maxim can get by both of them, this is huge. Here comes Paniot though, going to the outside. This is big for Joris Holmes, who needs this move to happen from Paniot Karpachev. Andreev, the last of the late breakers, throws it into the corner, but this is going to be deep here from Paniot, and now here comes Andreev straight back under the Fox Factory Bridge. Maxim Dimitrov now brings himself into play. 11 minutes remain on the clock, and still parity restores itself, but Maxim now starts to think about it. The pink machine, the Porco Rosso, is trying to bring itself back close, but still it's not quite there for Karpachev, who waits with Bozhidar Andreev, hoping there is still going to be movement to be had. They've got to clear Alex Stefanov now as the next port of call in this group, and they will wait all the way through the S's, all the way through turn 5. Karpachev trying to go around the outside. That's not going to unlock anything then, as they all stay in single file and hope that their move is there in the final 10 minutes of this race. GT3 AM is looking to be absolutely wonderful at this point. Andreev is now looking to try and put himself closer with Paniot Karpachev, with Maxim Maxim Dimitrov happy to sit behind and look to hope that there is movement in play. Paniot closing down that gap, down just to a tenth of a second, a tenth and a half. There could be a late lunge. He's very deep in on the brakes. Oh, he almost pushed him to the corner. Round goes Karpachev. Dimitrov picks up one, but Karpachev slightly too deep, makes contact in the rear, and it totally unsettled him, and round goes Paniot. Oh dear, that was not what the doctor ordered for Paniot Karpachev, and the bad luck streak continued. I wonder how many Black Cats crossed his path when he was getting set up for the championship, and how many ladders he walked under. So, back to 10th for Karpachev. It puts him now with Vladimir Mavrodiev full position. And Mavrodiev there struggling through at turn 3. So that builds the second back up again. They've got to clear Dimitrov as lap traffic. But here's a look again. Karpachev is very deep here on the brakes. If he could lock him up anymore, he would. But as he tries to go through, oh, it's just the tiniest contact front to rear. You can argue there's netcode in that with the style of the way that car is spun about. But for Paniot Karpachev, you can't really say that there's much that he could do more than that. He's just gone in a little bit hot, a little bit deep. He needs to leave a little bit more room. And now he's out the podium, and he's out the podium by 10 seconds. So he's got a lot on his mind if he wants to try and gather a bit more. Chris Vrajilov, though, still remains here in this battle going on for 5th and 6th position. Yulian Janovsky is now looking about at this, seeing Chris Vrajilov in full flow at this point, and up the hill, they're going to have to get by both Nikolai Mikov, who struggled today, and Dimitar Palauzov, who is 5 laps down, and they both manage it without any troubles. But Janovsky here has just about built his margin. Look at Koshev, though, against Malinov. Look at Malinov on the outside of turn 1 here, trying to deal with Vladimir Mavrodiev. So Mavrodiev's having to try and make passes on GT4 cars. And look at Malinov and the way he's driving. He's saying, you're too slow. You're a GT3. You should be flying down the road. Come on, speed up. I need to make some movement. And all in Malinov now realizes how important it is, because this is for second here in the category. And you've got the two teammates then behind of Ivilo and Dimitar Dimitrov, who are there together on circuit. Dimitar staves behind Ivilo out there on track, just about avoids making any contact, but Koshev close to all in Malinov, who's proven to be a very prickly thorn bush to try and overtake out on track. And again, it's once more the race of cannot quite find what's needed, and all the while that gap between Maxim Dimitrov and Božidar Andreev closes. It was at 1.6. It's now back to 1 second out there. Maxim with a 19.7, Andreev a 120.1. That could be something very late on in this race, knowing they've got one championship round to go, which is the double points finale. We had one double points race at Mugello, remember. We're going to be getting one at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Big kicker tail from Stanimir Borisov behind these two in category at the moment. And there's your overall leader just behind them. That's Vladislav Shopov. You miss him. He's as quick as a photon out there at the moment is Vladimir Shopov. Nobody's seen him. Nobody can catch him. He's faster than the speed of light at the moment as he drops down the hill, splits up this group a little bit more and makes life a little bit more difficult. 3/10, though, is the gap now between Vrajilov and Janovsky. But Janovsky, I think, is keeping himself very steady out there at this stage of the race. This is a very, very tall order moment of defense for Yulian. He knows how good of a battler Chris Vrajilov has been. Vrajilov has been Mr. Consistency over the course of this season. He's hardly put a foot wrong. But now, as they go, Alexander Nikolov's also trying to look out for a move here, and that's going to put, I believe there, just running wide then, Alexander Nikolov Jr. as Christian Novev sits behind this scrap against Milan Milchev. These, the first of the drivers, are lapped down. This is for 12th place. And so, game on Where does the Ferrari go? Is it left? Is it right? Is it left? Is it right? Covers all the way to the left. Got to go right. Now can you get the move around the outside? We've seen it work for Nikolov before, but ultimately Senior can't get the pass done on Milan Milchev, who's had to come from the back of the category class, has gained 8 places in this race, and now finds himself basically, I would say 6th or 7th in this one overall. He's done wonderful jobs then to pull himself up through the order, has Milan Milchev, and he deserves the credit for the way that he has driven. Novev not getting much love here. Venslav Raichanov in 3rd is going to be dropping points again, and it is going to be pretty sizable what that gap looks like, heading, of course, over towards the Circuit de la Sarthe in just a week's time. So there's still a lot to play for out there on circuit, with a number of drivers hoping that they can make something of this and are doing everything they can. There goes Alex Nikolov Jr., a huge drift spec going through. He's going to lose it again. Catches Raichanov in that one, and Venceslav will not be best pleased with that level of contact going through. Nothing he can do about that. Roy Vivek will be happy. He picks up an extra place. That'll be a couple points in the back pocket he wants. And now Koshev still trying hard to get back to All-In Malinov now. This is for the final spot on the podium. Remember, Alex Stefanov is still in 2nd, but All-In Malinov now, I think, is just trying to escape. And I look at the last time of Alex Stefanov of the 26.3, 6/10 from Malinov. It's late pressure, but it's just that, late pressure. Cannot find more than that. I look at the likes then of Božidar Andreev. He's got late pressure from Maxim Dimitrov, but it's just that, late pressure. He's not close enough to make a move with 3 1/4 minutes to go in this race. If Maxim Dimitrov wants that 2nd place in category, he is going to have to wrestle it away from Božidar Andreev. 9/10 of a second, leaving the final chicane then of 10A and 10B. It just clips back up over 1 second, and Andreev will feel comfortable with that buffer anytime. It says 1.0 on the black box relative right now. Maxime knows how big this is, knows how important it is, and knows how vital it is that he gets this pass done. If Božidar Andreev holds, then it's an outside shot for Maxim Dimitrov. If he can get a move through and he can pull the gap down from what it currently stands at in the championship standings at 12 points down to 10, it feels way more manageable in terms of his championship effort to be back at 14 championship points. This is a huge 4-point swing for Maxim Dimitrov. For Božidar Andreev, his championship lead would go from 4 to 2 if he would lose this place, with Joris Ooms in front of him in 7th position with just 2 minutes to go here at Road Atlanta. It is hold on to your hat, ladies and gentlemen, because I think we've got 2.5 laps to go of these drivers. And look at the last few laps. Half a second on lap 41, a 10th on lap 42. That gap's come down by 2/10 from where they were a lap ago. And now I'm starting to think that Maxim Dimitrov here is bringing himself into play as late as he likes, as late as he dares. The 11th hour, the bell's tolling here with not long left to go in this race. Vladislav Shopov has that control at the moment, and I look around at that time and I think we're going to be very close to being whether we're at 1 lap or 2 laps to go. And as he crosses with 1:19, I thought I saw Barney waving the white flag. This might be declared as 1 lap left to go in this race. It might be 2. So for Vladislav Shopov, who leads this field by 17 seconds, he's only built that margin in the second half of this race. He's been much better with the traffic than anybody else. He's back in form, and there's a reason why Vladdy Shopov is nearly unstoppable when it comes to this series. There's a reason why he's got to be back at his level best, trying to bring himself into order, into where he knows that he is absolutely undeniable, untouchable, unstoppable. As he will now drop down the hill, we will get the note of saying whether Barney's got a checker flag out or not, but now it's right up to the back for Maxim Dimitrov in Bozhidar Andreev. Now the Rodapa car is going to be looking at this and thinking, I just wish this isn't going to go one more lap from here. Maxim Dimitrov may only have one opportunity to make this move. Gets in the mirrors through turn number 1, searching for the pass and isn't quite there. And now through the final corner, it is official now. Checker flag is out. Vladislav Shopov will win the race and we won't see it, but he has done a dominant display of driving. Malinov fighting for the podium here. We'll try and race on through. Martin Yankov's got the gap and is going to take GT out there at the moment. Novev is going to be second, Raichanov third, but for the moment, Rosti Kovchev has got his number. Malinov throws it in from deep, and it's not quite there, but this is the all-important one. We know that Joris Ooms is going to take GT3 AM category, but who is second and who is third is the question. Yulian Janovsky is spluttering towards the line and will lose out on the final lap to Chris Vrajilov for position. Here comes Maxim Dimitrov looking for this move on Bozhidar Andreev. Andreev moves over to the left, all the way to the left, defends it all the way. Where do you go, Maxim? Trying around the outside, he can't get there. Bozhidar Andreev is going to hold. Joris Ooms takes the category win, but Bozhidar Andreev, what tenacity from him. He will keep his lead at 4. What a race here from Road at Atlanta. A seismic moment in this championship where everyone looks and says that was magnitude 8. It's not quite magnitude 10 just yet, but it was one very important shake and shimmy that everyone else around will start to look at. We will get confirmation of your result here from Road Atlanta, and for the 4th time this season, it is Vladislav Shopov who gets it done in 1 hour, no minutes, no seconds, but 4/10 of a second extra. Can't get it much more closer to the hour than that. Christian Novev will finish off in second, with Ventsislav Raichanov dropping a bucket of points in 3rd position, meaning that Shopov has all the cards to play at the final round of the championship. Gabriel Ivanov finishes off in 4th, ahead of Chris Vrajilov and Yulian Janovsky in 6th position, with Joris Ooms picking up 7th place, and crucially, 2 big points on the Rodapa Racing Team car of Bozhidar Andreev, who fought valiantly today on a circuit he did not know to get the result he wanted of 8th place. Maxim Dimitrov would finish 9th, but had himself the chances to make it happen. Paniot Karpachev would round out the top 10, with Vladimir Mavrodiev and Milan Milchev 11th and 12th. Milchev going from the back of the category with a qualifying ban. You then had Roy Viveka. The disconnect at the start of the race means it's only 13th, and his championship hopes, I think, are pretty much in smoke, with Alexander Nikolov Sr. and Dimitar Dimitrov 14th and 15th. Stanimir Borisov will be 16th, along with Ivilo Dimitrov and Ivo Serafimov having himself a bucket of troubles today. That will also put a massive dent in his hopes to try and win this championship, a former championship leader here in GTM. Martin Yankov picks up a big bucket of points here today. He takes the win over Alex Stefanov and Rosti Koshev in 3rd, but there will be talks about the incident between Martin Yankov and Orlin Malinov for who's at fault for that, and if there is any blame on Martin Yankov's position, he might be in trouble heading to Circuit de la Sarthe, but we do not know about that just yet until the post-race stewarding process goes into play. Alexander Nikolov Jr. will end up 5th, with Valentin Stemenkov 6th. Tough day at the office for Nikolai Mikov. He knows how important he needed to deliver today. Didn't quite manage it, with Dimitar Palauzov then 11 laps down, but classified as a finisher. But the two who weren't were Lazar Ketsarsky and Nicholas Stanev, who had himself his big issues for Negative Delta Arcane in the very early stages of this race. That will take us then over to your Sim Gear press conference right now. You can head over to www.simgear.bg to get all of your amazing sim gear needs sorted. If you need anything you want, you can probably find it over there at Sim Gear. But We need to start by talking over to your race winner overall, and we'll get a chance to in the next couple of moments' time on what was a very tough day on a track that was getting, I would say, brighter and brighter, hotter and hotter, but ultimately it's a race of cool heads are looking to prevail. The only thing that might actually put a little bit of a question there, and you just saw it there off the start, was that was a jump there, I would have said, from Vladislav Shopov before the official start zone that was out there on circuit. So it is worth keeping in mind that that could have been an almighty jump, which could have really cost a lot of time there, or even some penalty points for Vladislav Shopov if drivers thought that he jumped a little bit too early. But I'm sure we will, in the next couple of moments, have the drivers filtering in and having that opportunity to talk with us here in the SimGear press conference. And in fact, we will get that opportunity to do so right now. Vladislav Shopov is here with me first and foremost, picking up the win, as has been almost a tradition in this series. Vladislav, nice to see you back on the top of the podium, but a day for you which looked pretty calm, I would have said, all things considered. Not much of a challenge. There was challenges, but ultimately it was the sustained case of not pulling away by masses, but pulling away by a little each and every lap.
Well, it might have looked clean and calm, but it was exact opposite. I was fighting the car every lap. I had a pretty aggressive setup, so I nearly threw the race away like twice or maybe even 3 times, maybe inches away from the wall and inches away from Vader. But yeah, didn't happen. So I'm glad I could have kept it clean, relatively clean.
Well, it's a case of knock on wood for you then in terms of that. It's been a dominant season from you. You've got 100% in terms of putting the car on pole position. You've gone out and won again by a very large margin. But now in terms of looking to pick up these next steps, you've got one final round in the championship to go. How important was it for you today to pick up those a few more points, knowing that it's double points coming along at the final round?
I didn't know it was double points. That's news to me. But I think the Porsche is really bad at Le Mans, so I'm really hoping I am not going to be dead last in there. But I think it was pretty important that I could pick up a few more points. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we're gonna see at Le Mans.
Well, you've been very dominant all season, and we've seen that affinity between you and the Porsche. I just want to wonder as well, just before we let you go, what was it about the Porsche that drew your affinity to it, and why you chose that for the season?
I guess it's because I've driven it way too much. I know the car. I don't have to put hours and hours in practice, so that's why I chose it. We've been driving it in negative delta for about maybe a year now, ever since it came out. So that was the driving factor.
Well, I'd say it's very much like a comfy pair of slippers that you've worn for about 10 years. It feels very much like that for you. Vladislav Shopov joining us then and picking up the result then. That was absolutely fantastic. No Christian Novev by the looks of things, so we'll bring Venceslav Rajchinov in for a little bit of a chat. And Venceslav, tougher day at the office for you here today. Third place, points dropped in terms of looking for the victory. But in terms of where you are right now and what you're hoping for in this championship, it was still a very good day at the office, but second very much looked like it was on the cards at the mid-stage of the race when you started to close in on both Christian Novev and Gabriel Ivanov.
Yes, it was a nice race. I tried to undercut them at some point. I didn't succeed. Then when they start to fight, I closed the gap. Then they had a little, I think Ivanov had a little bit of oversteer or something. Then I lose a bit to Novev. And then I think the bigger role on the scene was the traffic. He managed it much better than me to go through the traffic. So at some point I just decided to finish at that position without taking any risks.
Speaking of that, you had a moment quite near the end of the race with, I believe, it was the Ferrari of Alexander Nikolov Sr. So talk us through what happened over the top of the hill at turn 7.
From what I remember, I saw him losing control. Then I tried to stay behind, and he again lost control. So I just tried to avoid much bigger incidents, so at least to finish the race. And it went well. Very little damage on my side, so no issues there. It's
no
tough
issues.
track for traffic. Yes, tough track for traffic.
It's a very tough traffic. Tough for traffic. It is a bull ring in
Yeah.
terms of how everyone is so very much packed on top of each other, but it's going to be maybe a bit less traffic when you get to racing action over in Le Mans in a week's time. Do you feel like that's going to give you maybe more license to be comfortable in the lines that you take?
It will be much easier with the traffic for sure, but from the point where Porsche stands in Le Mans, like lap times, I think very tough race to come. Very tough race to come.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck. Still
Thank
an
you very
outside
much.
shot at the championship. Venslav Rajchanov there joining us, third position overall here today. We will move over to the category known as GT3 AM, where I do believe we don't have Joris Ooms, but we do have Božidar Andreev here with us, who is second position overall in the class. Božidar, from not knowing the track at the start of this week to where you are now, second in category, you'd have to say that comes off as a bit of a win for you.
Yeah, especially with contact with Joris, I had the suspension damage and lost a lot of grip, and it was fighting with the car to the end of the race, and I was really struggling to hold the drivers behind me. But yeah, the track is really nice. I really love it.
Yeah, it's certainly got a fantastic feel to it. There was a bit of contact between you as well and Paniot Karpachev, who spun behind you, which I think gave you about a 3-second buffer to Maxim Dimitrov. Are you happy in the sense that the white flag, that the checker flag was thrown at exactly an hour here today, and that you didn't have to go one more lap against Maxim?
Yeah, if we get one more lap, I think that Maxim will overtake me in the end.
But crucially, you have got the ability to put your championship gap now from 6 down to 4, though, when you head over to Le Mans. So still very tight margins out there overall. In terms of what that says to you and how close this AM championship has been, what do you think has been the deciding factor for you in the Redupa racing car for you to get that Porsche up to the top of the AM championship?
I will try my best, but the competition is really hard here in the AM class.
Naturally, it very much is. Božidar Andreev joining us second position overall. We have just managed to wrangle up Joris Ooms, who I believe is still celebrating his victory in the GT3 AM category. Joris, that is 2 extra points now. You've closed back in at the top of the championship. But the qualifying pace, at least initially when we saw those first qualifying laps go in, it looked like it was going to be your day with the level of pace that you showed.
Yeah, I was hoping for that, but unfortunately, we had a little bit of exchange of paint, let's say, at some point, and I had a bit of front damage, so I couldn't catch up with Julian and Chris anymore.
Talk us through your battles over the course of this race, because you really had to work hard to get past Božidar Andreev. That lap 1 would have been one of nightmares for you, but you were able to wrestle back control.
Yeah, it was really exciting, but I think we had a different setup because I couldn't catch him. I couldn't follow him on the straight, but I was gaining a lot of time in the bend, so in the slow sections. So it was very difficult to get the upper hand again.
And of course, now you're starting to turn that attention over towards Circuit de la Sarthe and the final round of the championship. 1 hour, 20 minutes on the clock for that one. And surely for you, you are in the A1 position of this championship to try and pick up a victory. We know that the Porsche maybe struggles a little bit around that track. Do you believe that you've got what it takes to take the title there?
I have no idea. The only thing I know for sure is that Andrea was very fast, and it's gonna be a very exciting battle. That's my feeling.
Well, it will be an exciting battle no matter what the result. We'll wish you the best of luck in 7 days' time and a good victory here today for Joris Ooms in GT3 AM. Maxim Dimitrov was third overall in the category here today. And Maxim, it felt like you just ran out of time, maybe a little bit unfairly, the way that you were starting to claw back Andreev there through the final stages.
Yeah, I was hoping for one more lap, but race ended exactly at 1 hour. So yeah, if I could have one more lap, maybe I would get a P2. But great defense from Božidar.
Talk us through your race, because you started the day in 9th position. You had to work really hard through the middle of it because there was a lot of drama here, there, and everywhere. And I think the most important part of your race was what happened to Paniot Karpachev in front of you.
Yeah, I had I really struggled with tires. My setup was too oversteery for this race, and I messed up my pit stop. So I've changed one more tire, and it extended my pit stop by 5 seconds. That's why I've been behind Karpachev after the pit stops.
And so now you find yourself, I would say, 14 points back going into the final round. You know how important it is to pick up these results. You sit now effectively third in the championship, knowing that it's going to be most likely either you, Bozdar, or Joris that's going to come away with the GT3 AM title. The way that you've been fighting from underneath this season, do you feel like all of this chasing is going to be made up for you when that Porsche hits the track over in the north of France?
Yeah, double points, still have a chance. I think there is forecasted rain where I'm good at, where I took my only win in this season in the rain. So I'll try to do my best.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that, as Maxim Dimitrov then is with us, third position overall. It was a little bit more different when it came to battling action in the category of GT4. Victory, though, for the first time in a little bit, has gone the way of Martin Yankov. And Martin, you really had to fight hard today against Orlin Malinov, who threw everything he could at trying to pick up the victory in the Aston Martin. But it all came to blows going down through the S's section. Just talk us through your position.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There just wasn't enough room for both of us. And I think it's a racing incident, but we'll see what the judges decide.
Well, outside of that, it's still an opportunity for you to pick up points. You knew how important it was going into today, looking around, seeing that Rosti Koshev might not be at the final round of the championship, and Nikolai Mikov just didn't have a day today that said that he could challenge against you. Surely now for you, you feel that this championship margin for yours, is it more manageable than it's ever been for you?
Yeah, it is. But the best thing was that I really enjoyed this track, and I really enjoyed the fight with Orlin. We'll see about the championship. There is still one round. Maybe there will be a rain, so it will be hard.
No doubt it will be hard, especially at Le Mans, where it's one of the longest circuits that iRacing has to offer. And if you get it wrong by one lap, it's going to hurt you quite heavily. So as far as it goes for you, is it a case of business as usual then for you as you head to the Pays de la Loire region for the final round?
Yeah. I think if the BMW has good top speed, I think I will manage to do good.
Well, we hope you will do good when it comes to action there. Martin Yankov, your championship leader, extending that margin and quite handsomely to extend it as well here at Road Atlanta. Alex Stefanov ends up in second position. But Alex, a day for you, which is pretty much synonymous with your incredibly intense battles with Rosti Kosev. Talk us through your day.
Yeah, actually, I apologize for the accident with Rusty Suave. Tried to stay on the right side and enter the corner side by side with Rusty, but couldn't. It didn't work actually.
Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does.
I apologize for this accident.
And it is always very much appreciated when we hear honesty from the drivers. But for you, Alex, a case of walking into the season one race down and how close it is right now for fourth place on back, and knowing that Koshev might not be at the final round. This is effectively an opportunity for you to now try and push for a third place in the championship. Do you feel like now, with the result that you found here today around this Road Atlanta circuit, this second place, do you believe that gives you the best platform to go and battle for that third place and to defend that third place?
Yeah, that's my goal actually, to fight. Fight for top 3 for the third place. Unfortunately, I had my network issues last race, and this cost me my victory. And maybe it could be much easier for me to
Could have been.
find
Could have been.
yeah.
Absolutely, it could have been a lot more points, and I'm sure, Alex, that you're trying desperately to get as many as you can. But talk us through Le Mans and driving around in the 570 out there in Le Mans. It's a circuit that I think is very much weighted to those who like that high-speed style of, full throttle and then very heavy braking zones. Does the style of Le Mans suit you in terms of a driver?
I don't have actually much practice on this track, so let's see. But I think the top speed is gonna be huge. Yeah.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck when you head over to France in just a week's time. Alex Stefanov there joining us and picking up second overall. And Rusty Kosev along with us gets third position at the end of racing action. And Rusty, we believe it is the final round of your season, of course, with Le Mans maybe being a bit of a clash of dates for you. But it certainly wasn't without its dramas for you here today at the Petit Le Mans.
Oh yeah, it was quite a crazy race. First, I have to thank to the organization. It's amazing, and thank you for your amazing commentating.
Well,
The race was like quite hard. I had to push all the way. At the last corner, I got fortunate with the GT3s pushing Kurlin, and I could have get the position.
And certainly you found yourself with a number of places here and there to battle with. You had very hefty battles with Alex Stefanov. You then had to try and navigate by Orlin Malinov. It seemed no matter where you went, the battles followed you.
Yeah, exactly. I had to battle pretty much whole race.
So in terms of reviewing your season and having all of those big battles that you've had to try and navigate through and deal with in the 101 Mercedes, what would you think about this season of the highlights that you've been able to have from getting these results and maybe areas you'd like to try and have an ability to improve on heading over towards next season?
Well, definitely overtaking is the number one priority for improvement because I like the pace I have, but I just am not able to make the move cleanly. It's amazing. There are amazing battles, but there is a place for improvement.
There's always room for improvement somewhere, but Rusty Kosev will not sleep until he finds it. A third place finish here today, and that will mark the end of Rusty Kosev's seasons. He will not be with us for the final round of the championship. But at least as things go, the SimGear press conference brings itself to a close. Some magical racing has been brought to you here, courtesy of Pitlane.TV, as part of your SimGear GT Masters, which never fails to disappoint with racing action. It is one step closer that we go, and in 1 week's time, this championship comes right to its conclusion. You do not want to miss it here with us. Do all the great YouTube things right now as there is a push towards 100,000 subscribers. Do all the liking, sharing, subscribing, letting all your friends know that this is where great sim racing comes to life here with us. But it is a day of 3 championships. It is a day where Martin Yankov gets the separation and breathing room that he has waited for. A chance to just say, I can now focus on this final track. It's a chance to look at those in GT3 AM and say it still sits on a precipice between Andreev and Maxim Dimitrov. This is going to be a race where for those drivers in GT3 AM, that one is going to go right down to the final laps. But at the top of your field, it is a return to former glory for car number 1. Vladislav Shopov, it is almost a formality at this point for him to walk over towards the title. He knows how important it is to pick up wins after wins after wins. By all means, he's done it on 4 occasions out of 6 races, but there is still one more race on the horizon for all drivers. We've finished with Petit Le Mans. Now it's time to do the real thing. It is the Pays de la Loire region. It is the town of Le Mans itself. And of course, the Circuit de la Sarthe that awaits all these drivers in 7 days' time. Will be 3 championships left to crown. And we will see you in 7 days when that championship finds its conclusions.